have fun with what you do. Does that sound crazy?
It sounds crazy to a contractor that's in that position where he's miserable.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've been there. I like what I do so much more now, and it should be more stressful, and we're busier than we've ever been, but it's fun.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I wasn't having any fun. That's our goal, I think, Mark and I both, is to if we could shave 10 years off the learning curve for these guys.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to wait till you're 40 to be happy.
10
you
years
can do
with
it
a bunch
at 30.
of zeros,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Those zeros cost a lot of money.
Zeros add up fast.
That's so true.
I'm Mark Olson. Luke Gibson and I have a combined 50 years in construction as fence contractors. In that time, we have both experienced failures and success. We travel the country talking with other contractors who share their experiences in hopes that their stories can make you a more successful contractor.
All right, we're here at the 2020 Fall Fence Forum. I'm Luke Gibson with Farm Fence Solutions. This is Mark Olson, not the other guy. I am the other guy.
I'm the guy.
Mark Olson, that guy with SWI, Wyoming. And we've got Tony Thorton, the Executive Director of the American Fence Association, with us today. And we're going to put his feet to the fire and quiz him a little bit on his background and history and what he sees as the future of the fence industry. So without further ado, Mark, you want to take it away with your first question?
I think nobody knows better about the successful and the unsuccessful contractor than Tony Thornton. He deals with a lot of people, he fields a lot of calls, and he can definitely talk to us about the things that he sees kind of plaguing our industry. So.
Well, like you guys said, as executive director, I probably talk to at least 100 contractors a month. And the biggest thing that we're seeing right now in our industry is our labor shortage, which has not been a surprise, which has not been any new news. Our whole industry has been dealing with that for a number of years now. But with this pandemic that we have been going through, now we have had the challenges with the supply chains, which has added tremendous, challenges on top of the labor shortages as well. But when you talk to contractors throughout the country, what you find out real quick is everybody's sharing the same problems. There's no unique problem, one more, one less. It's just everybody's on the same page with the same situation, whether you're a one-man crew, or a 15 truck operation. But I think for the most part, the larger companies that are doing in-house training is really bringing that labor shortage issue to light, where they're finding young kids out of trade schools or maybe colleges that really like to put their hands on things like us. We enjoy building. We like to see the end results. So I think those that are cultivating that type culture within their operation has seen a benefit to the labor shortage issues and the challenges that they've had.
And so to give people a little bit of background, you're not just an executive that came from some other industry or even started as an executive in the fence industry. You know a thing or two about what you're talking about here.
Well, sometimes you have to load the wagon. My story is at 15 years of age, I was cutting grass. A close friend of ours that owned a fence company 2 houses down the street pulled up and says, "Hey, I done talked to your dad. Get in the truck. We're going to build a fence today." So that's how my career started. But lo and behold, that turned out to be a blessing. And, here I am, 59 years of age, and doing exactly what I feel I've been led to do. You're right, Luke. I grew with that organization, working every summer, through college all the way up to age 29. And I decided I wanted to do something on my own. I had that entrepreneur spirit. So I got out there, I dove off into running my own operation, found out the challenges, firsthand, School of Hard Knocks, and was fortunate to be able to sell that operation. Didn't get enough to retire, but here I am.
What year was that you did that?
2000, early 2000s is when I sold my distribution group.
Okay.
Yep. So worked 10 years in a manufacturing a role as a regional sales manager, and then all that time I was serving as a volunteer with AFA. As you know, Mark, me and you go back 20-something years. And then we decided to see about this executive director position. So here I am. But to your point, Luke, yeah, I've been there, I've done it, I've seen it. I've had the contractor side, the supply side, and the manufacturing side, which offers a lot of benefit to when I'm talking to people with challenges and those type things. And I made some of the worst mistakes that anybody could have made And I give it to you guys about trying to educate this younger generation of fence owners and contractors to, hey, we can possibly help you out from making those mistakes. And I like that a lot.
That's our goal, I think, Mark and I both, is to if we could shave 10 years off the learning curve for these guys.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to wait till you're 40 to be happy.
10
You can
years
do
with
it
a
at
bunch of
30.
zeros,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Those zeros cost a lot of money.
Zeros add up fast.
That's so true.
They add up fast.
Yep.
If you had to maybe name 5 characteristics of a successful company, what do you think 5 things that sets the successful contractor apart from the one that may be struggling more?
One of the things that I use in a lot of my training is the successful contractors run the business rather than the business running them. And I use that in a lot of my training seminars all over the country, and the fact that if you show up every day and you're letting the biggest fire point you in the direction you're supposed to go, and you're not focusing on running your business, then that's, in my opinion, that's the ones that are successful. They've got their head wrapped around the operation. They know that they've got to run the business to be successful, but that would be number one, run the business first and foremost. Successful contractors, in my opinion, probably stay on top of their receivables more so than those that are unsuccessful. And as we all know, we've had these stories, okay? If you don't stay on top of those receivables, you're $500,000 into receivables and you hadn't got a dime to pay payroll at the end of the week.
Then it's an emergency.
Yeah, then it becomes a headache real quick. So with that being said, I think, again, run the business, staying on top of your receivables, and you've got to develop a culture, I think is very, very important, of what you want your company to be. Because whether it's your truck or your employee or whatever's in the field, that culture and that credibility of your operation is going to be right there in front of Miss Jones, the consumer. So I think that the culture that you're developing throughout your operation is very important, and that will honestly be part of every employee that you bring up. So that would be number 3. Number 4 is probably just bringing in the younger generation. We kind of get stuck in our ways, and we kind of adapt ourselves to or adopt the old school ways, and we're not open-minded enough to look at new techniques, look at new technologies, look at other ways of doing things, and learning from others that may be bringing something to the table. So I see that as the contractor's success is being able to be nimble and be fluid and be able to look at those things. And honestly, number 5, have fun with what you do. I mean, that may that sound crazy, but if we don't enjoy what we do, get up every morning motivated and enjoying what we do, we're doing it for the wrong reasons. And
It doesn't sound crazy, but it sounds crazy to a contractor that's in that position where he's miserable.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've been there. We
How
had
could
that talk in the
anybody
truck a
have
little
that
bit ago.
talk?
We're
We
like,
sure have.
look here, I'm drawing the line right here, and if this doesn't happen by this date,
Yep.
I'm either done or something's changing.
Yeah.
And
So true.
And I like what I do so much more now, and it should be more stressful, and we're busier than we've ever been, but it's fun.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I wasn't having any fun.
You were letting the business run you.
Yeah, and I was mad every day, and things weren't going right, and it's not enough money to make payroll
This
and
is so
junk
true.
equipment, and
Yep.
we fall into this trap that we're relegated to doing that for 20 years, and then we can maybe afford some nice equipment. But that's not the case. If you just do things right from the start, if you
Yeah.
manage your business, if you take care of things, then you can get there. And
I agree with that. And I'm going to add a 6th one, Mark, is the fact that a successful contractor, in my opinion, is willing to share. I mean, I see you and Luke, and I can name another 10 contractors that are willing to share. And those individuals that kind of keep things close to the cuff, or they don't want to share because they think they're going to let out a trade secret that their competition is going to do more than them, or get that job because they learned something from them. To me, it's all about those contractors, those successful contractors, sharing their knowledge, bringing up the younger generation, making a difference in other people's lives, and really putting it out there. And I think that is another piece of a successful contractor, is being willing to share your knowledge to be able to help and elevate others. I think
How
it's a
many
huge piece.
truly unique ways do you think there is nowadays to install a fence? Really, who has come along in the last 20 years and really revolutionized the way we do things. There's not a whole lot of secrets.
All of my good ideas are stolen. Every one of them.
So I keep telling everybody, I said, wow, that's a great idea. I said, yeah, I stole that one.
Yeah.
As we do this and we go around, we talk to people and we see things, we're gathering more ideas. And I'm like, I might not like that idea that you're doing, but man, I love that, and I'm going to take that home.
Yes.
Every single thing, if you look at our business and you went through and followed me day to day, I could probably point you to who I stole every single aspect of something from.
Yep.
It's all borrowed, and none of it's revolutionary. So if you're worried about sharing a secret that you think's a secret, there's probably
It's not a secret.
a whole bunch of other people already doing that.
They think it's
You
a
think
secret.
it's a secret.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. Guys will call me and it'll be some situation where they're stretching wire or doing whatever, and what do I do? And it's an immediate, well, this is what you do. How did you know how to do that? Because I saw John Morgan do it, or Cy Gibbs did it, or Jolly Berry did that, or whoever it was that, no, I was fencing with somebody else, and I watched what they did, and it solved the problem, and it was fast, and it was the way to do it. And you take all that from 100 different people,
That's true.
and you put it together, and all of a sudden you can do it pretty good.
Well, you meet contractors that are set in their ways. This is the only way that we're going to do it because this is the way we've always done it. And with that being said, that's what holds a lot of contractors back. They're set in their ways. They're not looking to learn and looking to have the opportunities to expand their knowledge. And that's the selfish ones that don't want to share too.
Right.
Is they're not willing to learn. And that causes a lot of challenges. I was very fortunate in my early teens or late teens and early 20s to have two of the greatest mentors, when it came to, teaching me the trade and giving me the opportunities. And those individuals are still mentors to me today. I still talk to them. And I just thank them every day for the opportunities they presented to me because they challenged me. They set expectations, but more than anything else, they held me accountable. And I think that that's another piece of a successful contractor is, here's a job, go do this today. Well, if that guy doesn't understand your expectations of that end result, you can't hold them accountable.
Yep.
All you're going to do is get into an argument because you thought it was going to be done this way and he did it a different way. Or the process that he did, it might have been different than what we always have done. So again, you got to hold them accountable, but you got to set expectations. And I think that there's a lot of contractors that do a better job with that.
Along the lines of sharing, we talked about having fun with what you do. If you're not having fun with what you do, one of the things I would suggest is find somebody to mentor. And that is one of the most enjoyable because then you really start getting fired up about what you're doing again. Mm-hmm. You're like, man, I just feel like I could help this guy because
there's nothing like a good remodel project.
Man, I love talking to all the people we talk to, and now that we get this going on, I mean, we've filled a lot of calls, and I love those calls. I love the fact that somebody respects what we're doing enough to actually pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, you know what? You seem like a guy I can talk to.
Yep.
And I never turn those calls down. It might take me a little bit to get back to them, but man, I love to mentor people and try and help them avoid the pitfalls. There's nothing that fires me up more than that. And that's what's making what I do now super fun. I am having more fun than I've ever had in my entire life.
You still own a business, you still got the work going on, but you are sharing that knowledge, and it's energizing.
Got even more work going on. It's like
yeah.
We're building that. We're got a business there. We want to do this. It's not like I'm not a busy guy, and like Luke's not a busy guy, and you're not a busy guy. But just that, I love to be busy.
Yeah.
Mark and I are still in the field, not every day like we used to be, but enough.
Yeah.
And managing fence crews and managing a sales business. And Mark's taking on Tornado Wire like we have and ProTech machinery, and that involves a lot of travel and demos and this and that. Plus, we've taken on this successful contractor challenge and the AFA, trying to do what we can there.
I can still build fence too. I did put in a really nice row of chain link back there.
I haven't inspected that yet.
Go back well, there's one post that's out, and it was only because we played Sword in the Stone. I told him. I told him. Sword in the Stone. I said, if you can pull a post out, I'll give you $100. And old Dale Dossett from Mr. Fence, he was railing on that thing, and boy, he bit the crap out of it trying to get it out. He didn't
get it out of the ground though, did he?
But that goes back to having fun. You shared your knowledge here this week with the ag industry, and I think that they respected that and they appreciated that because each person in our fencing industry as a whole is looking for diversification. And whether it be, okay, this guy's asked me to go build this chain link fence, or this guy wanted me to put up a vinyl fence or wood fence or whatever, and they were hesitant not to do it, at least this week, Luke offered the opportunity for introduction to these new type of fence, these new styles, new disciplines as we call it. And these guys are going to be more prone to say, oh yeah, I can do that. And now they know who to call. They can pick up the phone and call any of the instructors that was there or any of the peers that were here, and be able to feel comfortable that they could do that.
Yeah.
Not only that, your channel, Farm Fence Solutions, has got a ton of instructions. So talk about sharing information. It's out there for public consumption, and we're trying to do the same thing with SWI Fence on YouTube, is get those instructionals. So when somebody has a question, they don't have to pick up the phone. They can just go look it up and follow along kind of with what we're doing. One of the things we found people the most interested in is bias cutting.
Oh, yeah.
They were
How do you do it?
just really, so trying to get those, that really helps the industry along. So any little bit we can do to try and pick people's skills up and change the game. And
well, and a bias cut hits especially home with you when you go back to when you first started and
I'm gonna do a bit. I'm gonna probably do a Facebook Live and take somebody by one of the. If I can ever get back up to that mountain and show you what I did on my first bias cut, and then we've got a little chain link job in town that we did. Man, what a miserable! And I'll talk about all the mistakes we made. But it's all those things that when you're getting in, and we didn't have all the things. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have.
Oh, true.
I had a book from Home Depot. It was the best thing I could get on how to build fence, and that was trash.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it was all seat of the pants. I got my start doing ag fence, and I wasn't even doing a great job at that. So don't.
Yeah.
I'm dependent.
Well,
and I wasn't either.
Well, I commend both of you guys, first of all, for your training aspect, wanting to share, wanting to educate. And I mean, that's what the American Fence Association is all about. We want to provide education. It's one of our biggest mission statement pieces, and offer certifications to elevate the industry and elevate the professional industry. And by doing that, we're protecting the consumers. So, if a good fence goes in, we're making sure that consumer's happy with the end result. And as a collected group, we can achieve that. Well, and we're already seeing the successes of that. So,
Absolutely.
So one of the things I'd like to do in closing is you do represent the AFA, and if you're coming to us from some other discipline, all of this stuff is not unique to just fencing. We're talking about fencing because that's what we know the most about. If landscapers, tile setters, electricians, it doesn't matter. A lot of the same problems that plague us in our industry plague a lot of the other industries. But you come to us from a professional organization, and tell us a little bit about that and maybe why that's so important, because I think that's maybe number 7. You've got to get plugged into the organization that's passionate about what you do, whatever trade that may be.
Well, one thing that both my father and Mr. Jerry Jeffcoat at Jeffcoat Fence Company always promoted to me was reinvest in what's got you where you are, okay? And I think that's really important. And I've had several people at this fall forum this week actually talk to me about, what, I've listened to Luke, I've listened to Mark, I've listened to you talk about what this association is doing and attempting to do and raise the elevation of professionalism, education, and all the other things. But the true meaning of getting involved is returning to the industry that's been good to me. And I had a tailgate session with a guy here this week, and that's what he promoted to me. His mentors told him that's what you need to do, but it really didn't resonate with him until this forum. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Yes, AFA is a professional organization. It's a nonprofit organization. We cater to our members. And, we're just shy of 1,600 total members. As you know, Mark serving as a director for our board. But that's tapping into only about 1 of every 8 legitimate brick and mortar contractors in the country. So we got a lot of opportunity for growth. But every time that we're out and every time we're able to rub elbows, have an opportunity to share the knowledge, people are getting on board more and more easily. And even through this COVID pandemic, when we were doing what we call our advocacy promotions through the videos and explaining to people what you need to be looking for your PPP, and how to do this and what to do there and what to expect from the economic issues, we gained members during that whole time. We didn't lose members. So that in itself is a testimony to what this association is about. And we didn't just limit that to, if you're a member, here's what you get. We said, fence professionals, let us tell you what we think is going on. And that's why I believe we grew our membership so rapidly during this pandemic.
You made all that available to everyone. Exactly. You didn't have to be a member.
We weren't selfish, again.
Yep.
Reaching out. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, so success secret number 7. Get involved with any organization, your professional organization. and get plugged in. I think that's a tenet of a successful contractor.
I agree.
One that gets plugged in and gives.
And no matter where you are with what discipline or what area of your organization you are, if you only do chain link and iron, we got committees that we could get you plugged into. We have all kind of committees that work on all type of things, working very closely with the standards committee for the ag industry right now, with Luke coming on board and being part of that and some others. So we see it as a benefit, and we hope that everyone else sees it as a benefit. And certainly if you want to get plugged in, I'm just a phone call away. We'll find you a place to be, I promise you.
Luke felt a little bit left behind. He felt a little left behind, like the redheaded child of the AFA, and so what he decided to do is, instead of complaining about it, get involved and make those changes. And now the ag industry is moving forward with the help of the AFA, because it took somebody to come along saying, hey, I'll
Throw your
volunteer.
hand in there.
That's true.
And
Don't complain about it. Get involved.
Yeah, and I'm getting way more than I put in, but you've got to put something in before you get that back.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. And I say that all over the place. You're going to get out of it what you put into it.
That's right.
And if you just pay your dues, you're never going to see a benefit. You're never going to like what you get. But if you pay your dues and you get plugged into a committee and you start networking and you start meeting the people that have the same thing going on in their life and their companies, you're going to find out real quick that it becomes a family.
Yeah.
And you're going to work together to make the industry as a whole better. So, yep.
I've enjoyed getting to know all of the people in the organization, and there's so many great people that I would have never met had I not been a part of that. Gotten to know Luke through that. Luke and I have only known each other now for almost a year.
Yeah,
it's almost going on our 1 year anniversary.
Almost a year.
I remember minding your first phone call, and I said,
Yeah.
Luke, you got to get involved, man. We'd love to have you introduce, the new techniques of the ag industry. What better place to do it at AFA University? You want to come down and instruct? What was your answer? Absolutely,
Yep.
I'd love to.
Grant Cardone, never say no.
And that's how it happened.
Yep.
I remember I picked you off of Facebook, didn't know you from Adam, but I was like, this guy's out there and he's doing something different.
Yeah.
I could just tell from all the way over there in my county,
Wyoming County.
Western County. I could tell from all the way over there in the Western County there that Luke was doing something different, because he was bringing new things, and I had never heard of tornado wire. I hadn't heard of Protect machinery, and these are different things. I'm like, what's this guy doing? And you were showing some of your work, and I was like, that is different, and that's really nice. I think this guy's got something to offer. And so I threw your name in the ring, and that's how here you are.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
Winner,
saying
winner.
yes.
Yeah, thank you
Glad
for
to
saying
do it.
yes. Yes, sir.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, but the old saying, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, if you don't want the job, don't volunteer.
That's right. That's so right.
Well, Tony, we appreciate your time here, and if they need to get a hold of you, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, you can reach out to me. My cell phone's always available. Everybody knows I got an open door policy. If you need AFA or you need me, 972-533-3658. Don't hesitate, shoot me an email at tony@americanfenceassociation.com. Visit the website, www.americanfenceassociation.com, and you can see everything that we've got going on. And I appreciate both of you guys allowing me the opportunity to have this conversation with you.
Yeah,
today.
you're more than welcome to DM either one of us, Facebook, Farm Fence Solutions, SWI Fence on any one of the platforms for us. DM either one of us, and we'll be more than happy to answer questions and share our experiences. Or if you got other fence-related questions you don't feel the AFA can help with, we're here to help them.
Yeah.
This channel is your channel. That's what we do here. So if you like what you're doing, make sure you share this with your friends. Subscribe down below and leave us your comments. What are we doing right? What do we need to talk about?
Yeah, and if you've got a story you want to tell, give us a call. Whether it's a failure, a success, a struggle, doesn't matter. We want to hear it.
Somebody can learn from what you've got going on. Till next time.
Have a great dang day.
You have a good dang day.
Great.